Viva.
It's a Viva Physical Media.
Physical Media.
And what do you want?
Episode 57. 57?
7.
That's great. We're almost to 60, which will be insane. It's going to be funny when
It's basically 100.
It's going to be funny when we hit 69.
Nice.
And then it'll be really funny when we hit 420. Oh, 420.
420 episodes.
Yeah, baby.
I'll be dead on the cold, cold ground by then.
I'll be crying constantly. Just 24 hours.
As opposed to how it is now?
Yeah, where I only cry when the camera's not on. Fuck you guys.
Fuck you.
How's it going?
It's going okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ate a bunch of sushi before I came here, so it's all sticking to my ribs. I'm some sushi. I'm a little bit bloaty right now.
Well, that's okay.
That's what the audience craves,
That's
is that
what
kind
they
of
want.
info.
I also have a tummy ache, but I had
It's tummy
not
time in
sushi.
Tiny Town today.
It's tummy time in Tiny Town for sure, for certain. We're drinking fancy beers instead of Rainier's, even though we will switch
Courtesy
today.
of Sandra.
Courtesy of Sandra. Hey.
City of Dreams.
Yes. Where is that?
From Fort George.
What's that? Where is that? Oregon.
Yeah.
Astoria.
It's George's Fort in Oregon.
Cool. All right. Well, news, Scarecrow news, no real news. We keep telling you this.
Live stream's coming up on May 20th.
We're getting all the details about that. We're gonna be hosting. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be outrageous. Let's think of some funny
outraged.
stuff to do. I'm outraged about it. I'm outraged already about it. So it should be fun. I have to figure out my outfit.
Oh, I'm just gonna wear this.
Cool. Anything else new? I don't think so. Not really.
We don't have any sections right now.
No, but come in and find out for yourself.
Yeah.
If you're so curious. I'm coming in aggressive right now.
Yeah, you're
that's
coming in
okay.
a little hot right now.
That's all right.
Maverick's buzzing the landing pad.
Yep. But you know what that means? That means I'm ready to take off and do my own fucking stunts. So let's get this episode started.
I think I see the content warning right over there.
The following segment contains frank discussion of adult themes. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey, perverts. No foreplay. I don't need it. Let's jump right in. Hey, perverts. No foreplay needed. Let's jump right in. Okay. I was using the bucket earlier today. Give me 1 second. There you go. Take this waltz. Since Sarah Polley just won the Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay, I thought it'd be appropriate to talk about one of my favorite movies by her. 2011, it's a romantic comedy drama starring Michelle Williams, Seth Rogen, and Luke Kirby. Now, side note, did I watch this movie mainly because I have a huge crush on Luke Kirby? Yes. And I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed, goddammit. Watch him in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel as Lenny Bruce. They're still staring.
So are you. Come on. We're gonna dance.
You'd want to fuck him too, okay? He's great in this movie, and Michelle Williams wants to fuck him in this movie. The movie begins with Michelle Williams' character. Her name is Margot. She meets Luke Kirby, who is named Daniel, on a trip.
Put your back into it more.
They have really good chemistry. They hit it off. But there's a little slight hitch.
I'm married.
Oh. That's too bad.
Michelle Williams is married to Seth Rogen. Yes. Also a hitch, Luke Kirby, Daniel is her neighbor and lives down the road from her. Uh-oh.
That's too bad. Because I live here.
So what's a girl to do, right? Why I love this movie, it's a very realistic example of relationships, marriages, and female desire, I think. I think Sarah Polley fucking knocked it out of the park. There's so much good sexual tension in this movie. because you definitely see Seth Rogen, whose name is Lou. He's very sweet. Him and Michelle Williams have a very sweet, loving relationship. They have these funny little in-games they play. There's a game they play where like, I love you so much, I want to skin you alive, and or I love you so much, I want to rape you with scissors, which I know doesn't sound endearing, but it kind of is.
I love you so much. I'm gonna inject your face with a curious combination of swine flu and Ebola.
And also, I've never wanted to fuck Seth Rogen before. But in this movie, I kind of do. He's so sweet. He's a cook. He's writing a cookbook. He's making all these chicken recipes.
What?
Just glad you're here.
She's a writer. And they have this beautiful house. They have a great relationship.
I don't even know what you're making to me for breakfast.
I don't even know what you're making me for breakfast.
She's with his family, like they're best friends, she's friends with all his family members. So you can definitely see her dilemma in this movie. She's torn between this new, fun, exciting thing with Daniel, who sees her as a woman. They have really good chemistry, they flirt a lot.
So, now what are you gonna do with me?
Say what now?
You got me this time. What are you gonna do?
Got you this time.
Yesterday you woke up early and watched me leave and didn't get me. And today you got me. Now what are you gonna do with me?
The movie's really funny. There's a really funny scene where she's in the public pool. It involves pee. I don't know why, but it just works for me. Oh, Sarah Silverman's also in this movie. I really like her. She's really good in it. She kind of plays like a silly, kind of more serious role, but I totally dig it.
You look so well.
I know.
Really, I look in the mirror, I want to fuck myself.
So relationship-wise, I like this movie because there's like an underlying tone that, you know, relationships have gaps. They get stale, especially long-term monogamous relationships, which I don't think they really show in a lot of mainstream media when they talk about affairs. And I swear to God, I'll stop talking about affair movies. I know I've done a few. The next one will be an affair movie too. Spoiler, I don't give a fuck. My series. But I swear I'll do something different after this. I just love the conversation and topic about it. And this one's about new gets old, right? So should you risk the relationship that you have that's really stable and happy for something new and exciting? That is the conundrum that Michelle Williams has to face. Also, she's not really fucking likable in this movie, and I love that too, because women don't have to be likable. We're flawed people, we're flawed characters. I love that Sarah Polley put that in the movie. There's a lot of nudity in this movie, a lot of female nudity, but it's not sexualized, which is really interesting. Okay, we'll go. Well, get on my soapbox here. When I went to IMDb, went on the trivia section, of the 9 topics about this movie, 5 of them were about Sarah Silverman's nude scenes. Grow the fuck up, people, okay? People can show their tits on movies, and we don't have to write about it all the time. Just get over it, okay? People can be naked. Thank you. I love the sexual tension in this movie. It's so hot. It's so hot and palpable. It just builds and builds. There's a great scene where they're just in a restaurant. Michelle Williams and Daniel, Luke Kirby. I fucking love so much. And he's just describing what he wants to do to her. And my God, it's off the fucking charts. So hot.
I kissed your eyelids. And they fluttered underneath my lips. Just a little.
A little.
And very, very slowly, I just grazed your lips with mine.
There's also a really lovely scene where they're on a roller coaster together and Video Killed the Radio Star is playing, which I love that song. And it's just the look of desire between the two characters. It's perfect, like nothing's said, but everything is through the look. And I think that's so lovely, so hot. Yeah, it's also a movie about finding yourself, finding your own happiness, and like what that means, relationship cycles. This is for all my girlies who, you know, jump from relationship to relationship. No judgment. It's a movie about infidelity, but it's not about infidelity. There's no bad guy here. The relationship is fine. Her marriage is fine and loving and happy. Like he's not a dick to her or mean. Like there's no reason for it. Like a lot of movies I think about affairs and infidelity, there's a bad, you know, like you feel bad for the person, like, oh, you justify it. It shows how really fucking hard it is to want to leave a relationship that you're perfectly content in. It's just not fulfilling you. And especially for a woman, the fucking stakes are really high, and I love that Sarah Polley did this and made this movie, and I really liked it a lot. It's hot, it's sexy. I hope you like it too. I give it 4 out of 4. Theo killed the radio stars. I don't know, I couldn't find anything else.
I'm just making chicken.
You're always making chicken.
Yeah.
So the movie I'm talking about first is called Sister, Sister. And no, it's not Tia and Tamara Mowry.
You think your life is more important than mine.
It's not TGIF.
And it's not on TJF. It is a 1987 movie by Bill Condon.
Oh.
Who did Twilight, Breaking Dawn, etc. And it was written by Joel Cohen. Not that one.
Different guy.
The guy who wrote Toy Story. But this is actually a really great kind of Southern Gothic melodrama. It has a young Jennifer Jason Leigh and Judith Ivey, who I'm not really familiar with, but they're weirdo sisters who live in this old plantation house, and they rent it out as a bed and breakfast. Judith Ivey's very protective over Jennifer Jason Leigh as her younger sister.
Why do you always stop us playing?
Well, it was fine when you were children. It's different now.
How?
They have a small town. They go to like dances in a barn. You know how small towns and movies go. Dances in a barn.
I know about barn dances.
One night, as happens in Southern Gothic melodramas, there's a thunderstorm, and Eric Stoltz comes to stay.
I have a reservation.
As happens. Yeah.
And he seems like a sweet enough guy because he's Eric Stoltz or whatever. And there's kind of a sexual tension between both of the sisters and him.
Nobody gets into her pants. Nobody.
And then it's just kind of plays out into kind of a murder mystery type thing because strange psychological shit keeps happening to the sisters. I don't want to give too much away, but it like culminates into a kind of a whodunit type vibe. Kind of a weird, foggy swamp giallo almost.
Okay.
And we find out that there's a history that has happened with the older sister's almost fiance.
All worked up over nothing.
What
Lucy.
we did was wrong. What we did was wrong. Lucy, it's vengeance. That's what the dead do. They take their vengeance.
Stop it now.
And so that's like a big secret that they're keeping. And somehow, in some way, Eric Stoltz knows of this secret.
Oh.
And so all of this different drama plays out. And during all of this, some weirdo, really quirky, kind of comedic guests come and stay at the bed and breakfast.
We're in a nut house here.
It's very sweaty. There's the thunderstorm happens through all of it, so everyone's kind of like claustrophobic inside this plantation house. And there's even like a little bit of supernatural elements that happen towards the end. It's very cool. It definitely surprised me in a good way. I didn't really know. I saw this. I think I was just like browsing the murder mystery suspense room upstairs, and I saw like Sister, Sister, and I was like, well, what's that? Cool cover, you know.
Is that a Vinegar Syndrome?
Yes, it is. Because then it has this really cool cover on the inside, too. It's a neat one. I hadn't heard anything about it, and I took a chance, and it delivered. So if you're into, like, weird sisters with secrets, weird Gothic, Southern Gothic melodrama mansions, and Eric Stoltz being a kind of a dualistic weirdo, go for it.
It's okay, Mom. It's not okay. Lenny's not a schlepper.
The movie that I'm going to talk about next is a Korean film from 2005, my favorite South Korean film.
Oh.
It's called A Bittersweet Life. It was directed by Kim Ji-woon, who also did famously A Tale of Two Sisters. That's probably one of his most well-known movies. Also, I Saw the Devil.
Seen it.
Good, the Bad, and Weird.
No.
Lots of other good ones. This one is my favorite by far, and it is my favorite South Korean film. It is also, in my opinion, the last great movie in the long legacy of heroic bloodshed films.
Whoa.
Born in Hong Kong, heroic bloodshed was a type of action cinema typified by stylized action sequences and melancholic narratives. Heroic Bloodshed is famed for subverting the notions of good and evil, as ruthless and very skilled killers were often the heroes in these films. Amongst the narrative of doom, gloom and angst, there was usually a dilemma where even the baddest tough guy could redeem himself, usually through annihilating some small army of men.
Now, there have been other movies sort of in that genre since then. There's like famously SPL and SPL2, some other good ones. This one I kind of feel like is the final statement. The ones that have come after are good, but they don't quite have the finality of genre statement than this one has. Byung-hun Lee plays the enforcer, sort of, for a crime boss. He lives this very monk-like, sort of ascetic lifestyle, and he really sort of has no outward expression of emotion. He only sort of exists to work for his boss. And one day his boss says to him that he's going out of town and he wants him to watch his new girlfriend. You know, the usual gangsters mall, like, keep an eye on my girl for me. Make sure I think she's cheating on me with some young dude.
걔들 관계가 그런 것 같으면은 바로 나한테 전화를 하든지 네가 알아서 처치를 해.
And so he does, and he takes the assignment pretty seriously. You would kind of think that what's going to happen is that he's going to fall in love with the girl, and they're going to have to negotiate a new relationship. That's not really what happens. Byung-hun Lee discovers that that his boss's young new girlfriend is indeed having an affair with another man, and when he confronts her about it, he decides to let them go. As long as she stops the affair, he won't say anything because he becomes sort of infatuated with this young woman, but not for himself. He just sort of he doesn't know how to express the idea that these two people could have love for each other, and so he decides to sort of let that slide. Of course, it doesn't go well. His boss finds out about it, betrays him, tries to have him killed, and Byung-hun Lee has to go out for revenge and, kill everybody else.
Yeah.
Because this, after all, is a heroic bloodshed movie. It has a lot of gunplay, a lot of violence.
Yeah, nothing's going to be resolved without violence.
Exactly. What I think is interesting about this movie, what makes it kind of like a final statement about the genre, is that it is kind of all about how this guy only has his thwarted masculinity. That's the only thing that he is. He's the tough guy. He's the enforcer. His job is to beat people up and to resolve problems with violence, and that's kind of his only reason for being. And it kind of interrogates the idea of what is romantic love in a situation like this? How do men treat the women around them? How do men view themselves as these arbiters of morality when, the tools that they're using are basically their fists and their guns?
And how can you separate yourself from that? And
what does that even mean to you? Like, who are you without this stuff? Right. It doesn't really come down, it doesn't really, have a final decision about that. It's mostly, though, a tragedy about how this guy really doesn't have any other means to express himself beyond violence. It ends up being both tremendously brutal and exciting and very, very slow and melancholy and sad. There's really nothing quite like it. Kim Ji-woon's gone on to make a lot of other movies that are really cool. I mentioned a few of them at the top of this segment. I don't like any of them nearly as much as I like this. His other movies are more stylized. They're more concerned with like being fun and exciting and scary and violent. This one is the one that has the most soul. It's absolutely one of the most interesting sort of examples of a heroic bloodshed film, especially because it's not from Hong Kong. It's Korean. Great performance by Byung-hun Lee. Incredible cinematography. It's also super bloody. You won't be missing out on violence in this. Some of it is almost like if John Wick were like a sad boy.
More so than he already
It's different, though. Like,
boy.
This is more like a guy who's like, it's like all of that futility of his existence like poured into one thing.
Yeah.
It's super, super good, and it was popular when it came out, but I think it's kind of fallen off the radar in recent years. Not a lot of people remember this one, especially because Kim Ji-woon went on to do things like I Saw the Devil and Good, the Bad, and the Weird, which kind of eclipsed this and his other work.
Yeah, I'm interested in this for sure.
Great movie. Check it out.
Cool. I'm going to talk about a movie by a director you guys probably all know. If you like movies, John Cassavetes. I don't know.
Cassavetes?
John Cassavetes. Cue that La Tigre song, What's Your Take on Cassavetes?
What's your take on Cassavetes? Misogynist. Genius. Misogynist. Genius.
Do you know that song?
I do know that song.
This movie's great. I actually had
What's it
not
called?
seen that. It's called Gloria. I watched a lot of Cassavetes in college, and then I kind of stopped, and then for some reason this was a blind spot for me, so I watched it this week, and surprise, surprise, it's fucking great.
It's great.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, it's really good. And I'm sure a lot of you out there watching know that it's really good, but I'm a little late on it, and you know what? That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love having those blind spots, though, where I'm like, I know I'll like this, and I know I need to watch it, and then I eventually did, and I was like, yes, cool. Gina Rollins plays Gloria. Basically, this guy was an accountant for the mob, and he has a wife and the wife's mom, and then his daughter and his son lives with them. And they have a hit out on them because he's been skimming money off the top. And you know what you don't do if you're an accountant for the mob, Matt?
You know who's going to miss a couple $100,000? The mob.
The mob. They hate it. They infamously hate when you steal money from them, and they will kill you. So this whole family has a hit on them. This whole family has a hit on them, and this guy's like, okay, we all have to hide. This mob's coming. I know it. They're going to come any minute. They're in the house, and there's a knock on their door, and they're like, oh, shit. But turns out it's just their neighbor, Gloria.
Hi. Ran out of coffee.
Gloria Swenson, which is her fake name.
Not Swanson.
Based off of Gloria Swanson.
The possible abductor's name is Gloria Swenson, patterned after Gloria Swanson.
It's her fake name because she also used to be involved with the mob, but they don't know that. That's just the nice neighbor Gloria. She wants to borrow some sugar or something, and instead they're like, take our son. Take our kids, both of them, but the teenage daughter wouldn't leave.
I'm not going. Joan! Joan!
Joan!
So she takes their like 6-year-old kid, and she's like, I don't even like kids, whatever, but like, I guess your family's in trouble, so just stay with me. And then pretty soon you hear... You know, bop, 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 the family dies. I believe it did inspire Leon the Professional, or at least part of it, as well as like a 90s movie called Gloria that I think, someone...
Well, there's a remake.
Yeah.
With Sharon Stone.
Sharon Stone, that's who it is. Yeah. Basically, this movie is her and this little like 6-year-old boy named Phil, who is so great, so adorable.
I am the man. I am the man. I am the man. Do you hear me? I am the man. I am the man. Not you. You're not the man. I am the man.
He did nothing. This is the only movie he ever did.
Really?
I looked it up, and it said he didn't act after this and then grew up and started a family business somewhere in New Jersey or something. Like, he's just like, he's thriving. But I hope that he understands that he was really great in this movie. But anyway, it's them running away from the mob, basically, this entire movie. And Gina Rollins is so fucking amazing in this. She's so tough. She's so badass.
Come on. Oh, I'd love it. Come on. Don't hang back.
She wears the most awesome 70s. It's 1980, but she wears the most awesome dressing gowns and caftans and cool skirt suits and shit and heels, but also like always has a gun and has no fucking problem shooting anyone who gets in her way, because they all know her and they know that she's with this kid. And so it's this cat and mouse chase across 1980 New York, which is also super fun.
Gorgeous location photography in this too.
Gorgeous. The score, the soundtrack is like this really cool jazz. It's just like a really fucking cool movie. It has so much heart, as you can imagine. You know, they don't like each other at first.
I hate you stupid person. You're a pig.
You know I'd do anything for you, but I don't like kids.
I hate kids. Especially yours.
And then they grow to love each other. And this kid is just such a precocious, but not in an annoying way, little kid who's just, just falls in love with Gloria, And Gloria's like, kid, you're my partner now, And it's just, it's great. It's fantastic. It's an amazing watch. I don't know why, if I was putting it off or if I was just like, it'll be there, but I'm really happy that I took the plunge and watched it.
I don't think this one has like a great reputation, mostly because when it came out, it was sort of seen as Cassavetes like selling out a little bit.
Yeah.
And now watching it, you're like,
well, no, this is just
well,
great.
no, I just like see Cassavetes doing that kind of movie.
Yeah, and it's cool. Give him,
like, yeah, he should be doing more of
this
stuff.
That
yeah,
shit.
exactly. Yeah,
because it still has the Cassavetes,
all of it,
interpersonal relationship stuff, fucking Gina Rowlands being a badass stuff, and being a little unhinged as she's like fucking great at.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely check out Gloria.
If you like this, you'll take this one too. There's a Tilda Swinton movie from the mid-2000s, which is very, very similar, has a very similar storyline called Julia. It's like the same, it's basically the same thing, but it's Tilda Swinton. And just like this, it's Tilda Swinton is Godzilla, the rest of the movie is Japan.
Yes.
She just
Takes
eats
it over,
everyone. Yeah. It's amazing.
Awesome.
Very, very good.
Okay, cool. We'll watch this and watch Julia.
He don't know the score. He sees a dame like you and a guy like me. He don't know.
My next movie is a beloved favorite of mine, my second favorite Sofia Coppola movie.
And we have a section for her now.
We do. And it is 2010's deeply, in my opinion, underappreciated Somewhere. Obviously, this movie is a little bit autobiographical, I think, but that's sort of the least important thing about it, the least interesting thing about it. So this movie's about young Elle Fanning plays a young girl. She's 12, 13, 14.
How old are you, Cleo? 11?
Her father, played by Stephen Dorff, the great Stephen Dorff, is a huge movie star. His name's Johnny Marco. Elle Fanning's mom...
Hi, Johnny.
Elle Fanning's name is Cleo. Cleo's mom needs to take a break, needs to go on vacation.
I'm going away for a little while. I need you to take Cleo to camp. She's going there for a few weeks. It's close to your parents.
When are you coming back?
I don't know.
I think that there's an implication that there's some relationship issues there between mom and daughter. And she kind of pawns Cleo off on Rich and Famous Dad. And Rich and Famous Dad, Stephen Dorff, is embarking on a press tour for his new action movie.
Hi, Johnny. How you doing?
And he finds himself staying at the Chateau Marmont with his teenage daughter. Johnny Marco himself is in the middle of an existential crisis. He doesn't know what kind of actor he wants to be. He doesn't know what kind of man he wants to be. And now, all of a sudden, he doesn't really know what kind of father he wants to be or is capable of being.
Yeah.
And what's more, this movie isn't just about like rich guy, bonding with his daughter. This isn't just rich bitch fantasy. This isn't just about like these privileged people living their privileged lives. What you're experiencing when you watch this movie is you're seeing this young woman encounter an entire world that's based on the way that they look at her and the expectations they have for her to behave and the way she responds to that, the way she thinks that she is expected to behave to be a young woman. And this manifests itself in the way that she relates to her father's friends, the other women that her father engages with, romantically or otherwise. It's sad, thoughtful, beautiful, all at the same time. It's critical of him, but also sees very clearly his attempt to try to reconcile his privilege with the idea that he does understand that he needs to be a good father to this young woman. It's been compared to Antonioni in a couple of situations. If you watch the movie, you'll see some of the slow cinema. that appears in
ennui
it. There's
of
the
it
the ennui. There's this great scene where he's getting a plaster cast made of his face, and it's just like a really long shot of him sitting there with this mold over his head for a long time. People kind of complain about Sophia. They say that she's kind of a one-trick pony.
Yeah.
That she's stifled creatively by her.
She's
a nepo baby.
And
Yeah.
she's more concerned with the aesthetic than anything. I've always been a Sophia defender.
I'm a big defender. Although I'm different. I don't really love her early stuff. I like her later stuff. Like, I'm not a huge Lost in Translation fan. Don't really like Virgin Suicides. But the later stuff after that, like Marie Antoinette, is a masterpiece.
Oh my God, amazing.
I like pretty much everything since.
Yeah.
I think that this kind of sums up her critics' relationship to her work and her biggest fans' relationship to her work, because, you know, the people that are sort of anti-Sophia look at this and they see a product of privilege. What I see is somebody who is very keenly aware of their lane and very keenly aware of their project, and is trying to articulate something about not just here's what it was like for me growing up famous, and more about what does this world do to both the young women that are in it and the men that are in it, and how those two sides sort of affect each other. It's a really, really interesting movie. It also has beautiful, beautiful cinematography by the late Harris Savides, and a great score, great music, and beautiful performances. Also, Best Supporting Actor 2010, Jackass's Chris Pontius.
Hey, Johnny, having a party? Yeah, looks like it. Thanks.
As Stephen Dorff's best buddy. There are scenes in this movie where Chris Pontius and Elle Fanning are playing Guitar Hero, and it just breaks my little heart every single time.
Is your ballet teacher an alcoholic?
No.
Completely forgot he was in this until you just brought it up.
So great.
Oh, love him.
This is a terrific movie. Every time I watch it, it gets better. It's great. Somewhere. Watch it immediately.
What's that book about again?
It's about this girl that's in love with this guy, but he's a vampire, and his whole family's vampires, so she can't really be with him.
Why doesn't she become one too?
Because she can't. He doesn't want to turn her into a vampire, and if she gets too close to him, he won't be able to help himself.
You know what? You know what you have to do when there's a dog movie? You have to watch it. And you know what that
Jesus
makes
Christ.
us? You know what that makes us, Matt?
No.
It's a couple of watchers.
No.
And that's the movie that we're talking about today.
I don't care for that.
1988, Watchers by John Hess, who did some great movies, Alligator 2 and Excessive Force.
Wow.
Among others.
Hard to see this one.
I just read. Yeah, so this is completely unstreamable.
Yeah. Out of print DVD.
Out of print. I looked online. You can get this double for like $300 or something on eBay.
Wow.
So if you find this, if you stumble upon this at like a Goodwill or Value Village, just
Snap
pick
it up.
Pick it up, you know?
Yeah. You might want to watch it.
You might want to be a watcher.
This movie is based on a famous novel by the mediocre but great Dean R. Koontz.
Hi, I'm Dean Koontz.
The second rate is Stephen King, right? And I mean, I read the book when I was in junior high.
Did it scare you?
Yeah, I mean, I was in junior high. I didn't really have any taste. I thought it was cool.
Out. Yeah. I mean, it's a kind of a
this
cool story.
This movie has so little to do with the book.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It changes so many things and makes it a lot dumber.
It starts with a lab explosion. And a big fire.
It starts with a laboratory explosion. The dog is fine.
The dog is fine, and the dog's a golden retriever. Very nice. This lab had research animals and was basically trying to create, you know, as they do, like super soldiers or whatever.
Imagine 20 oxcoms in the field, tracking their prey ceaselessly, gorging on their quarry, growing stronger with every kill, drawn by a dog that insinuates itself into the enemy's camp.
like how
Like
we
you
saw
do.
in like Man's Best Friend and
Captain America.
all the millions of other dog movies that have this that me and like Kevin have talked about before, basically.
Who?
I don't remember. So basically, this thing explodes. This laboratory explodes, and this dog who is called GH3 escapes, as well as something called Oxcom. Oxcom 7.
OXCOM.
Oxcom 18, outside experimental combat mammal.
Oxcom number 7 is like a Sasquatch, Bigfoot-esque
Monster.
monkey
He's a monster. Yeah.
We don't really get to see him.
He's a genetically engineered monster. The dog is also genetically engineered super dog.
But the dog just looks like Air Bud.
Yeah.
And
They
it's
should
so
do an Air
cute.
Bud about this.
They should do
That
an
would be a
Air
good
Bud
Air Bud.
Lab buddies.
Lab buddies.
So basically, the Oxcom is psychically linked to the dog and is on this dog's tail.
They're basically like the monster is hunting the dog. The dog
is trying to get away.
That's it.
But who does the dog run into?
Corey Haim.
Hi, I'm Corey Haim.
While he's trying to make out with his girlfriend in a barn.
Mm-hmm.
Because we all know what barn parties and, barns are for making out. Right?
If you say so.
I think so.
What is that?
My dad.
Again?
Yeah. But she thinks the noise is her dad, so she makes Corey Haim leave.
Yeah.
Turns out Oxcom comes and attacks her.
Mm-hmm.
Corey Haim.
I'd have to say the way I'm feeling nowadays would probably be intense, powerful.
Meets the dog.
They become friends, and he names the dog Einstein because the dog is so smart.
No, he names it Furface.
I almost forgot about you, Furface.
Oh, and I'm confusing with the book.
Well, Einstein would have been cooler because Furface is
Yeah.
stupid.
Well, in the book also, instead of Corey Haim...
Baseball. It's all about hand-eye coordination.
It's like an old retired special forces guy.
Well, it'd be weird if it was Corey Haim. In the book.
Well, I know, but it's not a teenage boy. It's like a man.
it's an old guy?
It's like an older guy who's like an ex-special forces badass. And so they were like, when they decided to make this movie, we're like, I know.
Dude, they should have named him Einstein. Why did they... Furface? That's
Furface?
so dumb.
Yeah.
It turns out this dog's super smart. Corey Haim
I'll slap the headphones on once in a while and dibble-dabble at the keyboards.
realizes that he can understand English.
It's like you can understand everything I'm saying.
It's almost like he understands everything we're saying.
He doesn't speak English, which I think is good, because I think if he did, it would have been stupid.
Does Louise understand much English?
Yeah, she knows like 100 words.
100 words?
Yeah, we've talked about this before.
Mine only knows like 10. Anyway.
I'm sure she knows more than 10.
Just gonna
Anyway.
Very nice work. Very nice. Thank you, Miss Brooks.
Thank you, sir.
Cornell?
He sneaks the dog, obviously, as usual. Sneaks it back into the house.
Mhm.
And as usual, the mom's like, we can't keep this dog.
Look, this would never work out. I gotta let you go. My mom would never let me keep you.
Because in these movies, moms hate dogs.
Yeah.
They hate them. They hate them so much. They're always like, take them back.
In the book, it's not a mom. It's this like lady that he meets that like is being attacked by this crazy stalker, and he like saves her
That
from the
sounds
stalker.
cooler. I wanna see
And
the
then they
the
like
actual
get together.
Of the book.
Yeah, the book would make a better movie than this.
Did you even watch this movie, or are you just basing?
No, I watched the movie, but nothing happens in this movie.
I know. So the way that Corey Haim
When you kiss a girl, that certain feeling of all those dolphins like swimming through your bloodstream, and you get those good tingles inside your stomach.
he's like, Mom, we have to keep this dog. This dog's super smart. Here, let me prove it to you. Corey Haim goes, Furface, there's a pack of hot dogs in the fridge. If you can go downstairs and find the pack of hot dogs, you can just have one. And the dog goes, it gets the pack of hot dogs. And you know what I did when I saw that? I looked at Louise and I said, Louise. I said, Louise, there's a pack of hot dogs in the fridge, because there was.
There was.
I said, there's a pack of hot dogs in the fridge. If you can go open the fridge and get a pack of hot dogs, you can have one of them. And do you know what she did?
Nothing.
She looked at me like,
what?
So,
can you imagine? Can you imagine?
Went and got a hot dog? I'd freak out.
You would have lost your mind.
Lost my mind.
Like we wouldn't see Emily again.
So my dog didn't get the hot dogs, but this dog did.
God, our dogs are so stupid.
So dumb. Anyways, what Oxcom does, meanwhile, is finding everyone who's ever had an interaction with the dog and tearing out their eyeballs.
Yes.
They haven't taken the head yet. There are a whole bunch of really strange footprints around it. I don't think we're going to find the eyes.
Keep it down, Porter.
Also, there's special forces like Hitman guy who's chasing both the dog and the Oxcom, and it's Michael Ironside. And he's
great at it.
He gets the absolute best moment in the movie because towards the end of this movie, because he's got a partner, this guy, who's like falling around, and towards the end of the movie, he's like, so it turns out there were actually 3 experiments.
Oh yeah.
The Oxcom, the dog, and their best animal. It's me, Cliff. I'm the 3rd experiment. What makes you so fucking special? I'm the perfect killing machine. I've got no conscience.
80 minutes into a 90-minute movie,
yeah.
and it's the only thing that's happened in the movie.
People get killed. It starts out where they don't really show the violence, and then towards the end they kind of like lean into the gore a little bit.
A
which
little.
I was like, all right. Corey Haim. He was like going to class and he didn't want to. His mom's like, you gotta go to class, but we gotta have the dogs. And then this like gang of kids on their bikes like surround him, and I'm like, oh great. Corey Haim is about to get beat up. But instead,
Hey, what's happening?
Sorry to hear about Tracy's dad. Is she alright?
I don't know, man. They won't let me see her.
they're all just like his friends. They're all like, hey, I heard your girlfriend got hurt. Like, are you doing okay, man? They're all like super supportive and nice. Later on, they do get murdered by Oxcom.
It's a boring movie.
It's very formula. It keeps happening. Eventually,
it just doesn't seem to have anything to do with the fact that there's a super intelligent, genetically engineered dog versus a Bigfoot.
It's just a cat and mouse thing.
Yeah, and mostly they're just running away from Michael Ironside.
And they don't show Oxcom
hardly at all.
Barely, which is good because I don't think they had the dollars to make it.
No, this is very low budget.
Also, the entire time Michael Ironside's like, we're your government. You don't trust us?
Now, I know it's fashionable to think that Washington is full of secret evil organizations. But stop and think for a moment. We're your government. We're the good guys. And we're in this together.
So they go to a vet at one point, and it's the colonel from Twin Peaks who gets abducted. That
Yes,
guy,
it is.
Whatever his name is.
It's Bobby's dad.
Bobby's dad. Yeah, this movie is very much like
Major
Goosebumps
Briggs.
TV vibes. Very much a little like
It does have
X-Files
some
Monster of the
Goosebumps.
Week.
Yeah, like Vancouver photographed, like
Yeah,
X-Files. Yeah,
yeah.
that's a good call.
No, Corey Haim stabs Michael Ironside in the throat.
You can't win. Because multitudes are coming.
Remember that? Yeah. That was kind of cool.
That's fine.
There's like a couple cool parts at the end.
They're trying everything to get this to be a
but
movie.
It's like too little too late.
But nothing
Definitely,
happens.
And nothing really happens.
Given the elements involved, super intelligent dog, Michael Ironside, Bigfoot, Corey Haim.
Yeah.
You would think that this would have a little
Dog's super cute,
some
though.
frisson, some panache.
Some je ne sais quoi.
As the French say, I don't know what.
The dog is so good in this.
The dog is great. He's a very good boy.
Adorable. Do you know who the dog is?
No.
The dog's name is Sandy the dog. I looked it up.
Okay.
And they were in, unsure of gender, but they were in, I don't want to misgender Sandy the dog.
No.
They were in this movie and then one other thing, something called Open House, which was a real estate miniseries in 1989. And they were a dog named Warren for a few episodes. That was
All right.
And I'm sure they did great.
I'm positive that they did.
Yeah, very adorable.
A beautiful animal.
Beautiful dog.
Yeah. Not as good as King from You Never Can Tell. I loved that dog.
Yeah, but you're like a German Shepherd
True.
simp.
Oh. Shit.
No, I mean, this was whatever. I kind of do want to watch Watchers 2, though.
Go for it. You're more than welcome.
I think I might.
I'll pass. Is there a dog in it? There is a dog. Oh, and it's Mark Singer instead of
Well, maybe
Corey
we'll save
Haim.
that for months down the road.
Maybe we'll do Watchers too.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Well, I'm sorry. We can't always get what we want in this life. Well, how many paws do you give this one?
I'm gonna give us 2 paws.
Yeah, I'll give it 2 paws.
Yeah.
Maybe 2.5. Maybe
disappointing.
like 2.25 paws.
It's just disappointing. Like this could have been remotely
It
exciting.
been cooler. And at the end, they show Oxcom's face for a second, and it just looks like a chimpanzee for a
Yeah.
second, and it's like, what are you
It's
doing?
not very
You
good.
didn't really flesh this out, did you?
There's so much potential here. It's totally squandered.
Yeah.
But speaking of potential that's not squandered, our next dog movie is going to be a real landmark.
Oh, it's a classic. It's a
And
classic.
folks, you watching at home, I have never seen this movie.
And I haven't since I was like 10. And we were talking about Beethoven.
This is Beethoven.
Beethoven. Because the head of the family
Charles Grodin.
is the one with the tail.
Oh,
Charles Grodin. This looks silly.
This is gonna
don't
be
really
so
remember
good.
It. I don't remember it, but there's like 4 Beethoven.
There's
movies.
more than that. I just want to point something out here. Okay, I'm looking at the back of this. Charles Grodin, Oliver Platt,
Okay.
Stanley Tucci,
Oh, a Tooch?
and any fan of dog movies will know this name.
Dean Cain.
Dean Jones.
Oh my God, I didn't know it was going to be a Dean. I
Dean
was just
Jones is
joking.
in this movie. The great Dean Jones, who was in many, many Disney animal films.
Yes, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cat from Outer Space. Anyway, I'm excited to see this. I've never seen it before.
I'm excited for this too, because I do remember this being like a childhood, a big one.
Yeah, this was a big deal for kids when I was young, but I was too old for it, so I skipped it. So
Well, here we are.
Beethoven's coming.
Check it out.
Roll over Beethoven.
Positive to positive, negative to negative, round and round and round she goes. Where she stopped? Oh, fuck. Well, blimey. There is a Santa Claus after all.
Well,
You've been watching Viva Physical Media.
we should do like the Suspiria ending, where it's like, you have been watching Viva Physical Media. It's my favorite. It's my favorite ending of any movie,
Yeah.
final credit ever.
cool. It
I
is
love
cool.
it. I was, as much as I loved the 2018 Suspiria, Kevin will back me up on this, that it's better than the original Suspiria.
100%.
Although they're both masterpieces. Yep. I was very disappointed that the remake didn't end
do
with
that you've been
you have
watching.
been watching
Yeah,
Suspiria,
that
because
would've been
if you're
fun.
not doing that, what are we doing here? Anyway, yeah.
Well, you have been watching Viva Physical Media, episode 57. I think this was a good one. I feel solid about it. It feels good.
I felt like we did a good job.
Yeah. Lots of good Rex in this one. And
Rex in effect.
Rex in effect.
Rump shaker.
What are you talking about?
Well, I mean,
All I gotta do is my zoom, zoom, zoom.
Oh.
boom, boom. Just shake your rump.
Okay.
If you had to teach me about Miss New Booty, I'm teaching you about rump shaker.
I mean, I've heard that before, though. I just wasn't sure what you were saying. All right. If you guys want to talk to us, viva@scarecrow.com, or come into a Scarecrow video if you're in the Seattle area. You can also rent by mail from us. Go to our website, scarecrow.com. Mail us 5030 Roosevelt Way, Northeast Seattle, Washington 98105. All the links to all the shit down below. Comment
Like and
below.
subscribe.
Like, subscribe. Share with your friends. Share on your socials.
Watch this at least 2 or 3 times.
Just keep it on a loop as you fall asleep to the beautiful dulcet sounds of our voices.
Mellifluous tones.
The mellifluous tones. Mellifluous.
On that note, Viva Physical Media, right?
Booty,
booty, booty, booty, booty, booty, booty, booty, booty, booty, booty, booty, booty, booty,
I found you.
Miss New Booty, get it together and bring it back to me.
Okay, bye guys.
How smart is this thing? How smart's a crazy person?